How do you do, y'all? This is John, and today we talk about the Phoenician Scheme, a new movie out on Premiere VOD right now, and it's still playing in some theaters, from my understand, and was directed by Wes Anderson. And then the Phoenician Scheme deals with this businessman named Zaza Korda, who is trying to build these railroads and other structures like dams and stuff, this fictional country called Phoenicia. But in order to do that, he needs the help from certain other business magnates. And on top of that, he is the target of assassination from some crazy person. So now the whole thing's set in play, him trying to, get these other business magnates involved, and also trying to avoid assassins. Okay, so getting into first and foremost, as I've mentioned, this movie's directed by Wes Anderson, and I understand not everyone's really into his stuff. His movies are definitely an acquired taste because he's very different from other filmmakers, especially with his love of, symmetrical cinematography. So, yeah, this movie's not entirely made for everyone. And I should point this out there. If Wes Anderson annoys the crap out of you, you're not going to enjoy this movie because he doesn't do anything different than what he normally does in this film. As for me, as long as it's entertaining, I'm not bothered with his style. And I'm not going to lie and pretend that, I've seen all of his movies. I've only seen a few. Now, getting into the actual movie, what I like about the movie, Zaza Korda, he's not a bad character. He's definitely an a-hole, but he's like a likable a-hole. The guy's a big businessman. He makes a crap ton of money. And, he does some questionable stuff. While he's not a murderer or anything like that, you get the image that some of his business practices involved a lot of lying. And even though, he may not do super criminal stuff, he does questionable stuff. Morally questionable stuff. But at the same time, he has a very likable personality. He is kind of fun a little bit. And on top of that, the dynamic between him and his daughter, who I think is named Leslie, like the back and forth between the two are very entertaining. And speaking of his daughter's also a really good character. She is kind of estranged and has been living in a convent for a while and is learning to become a nun. But with her father needing help, she leaves that life and, decides to help her father out, who's now more or less trying to actually be a father. Because this dude survived so many assassinations, and, it's only a matter of time before one actually gets him, and he knows that. Now, as far as the story goes, it's kind of your typical espionage story. It's definitely an acquired taste, which is typical for Wes Anderson. There's a lot of talking, but it's, entertaining conversations. And sometimes, in order to really solve a situation, they occasionally do something real silly to solve it. Like, he has this beef between these two businessmen who are brothers, and they decide to settle it with, out of all things, a basketball game. Yeah, real silly stuff, especially considering the basketball hoop literally pops out of a train. And as far as the actors go, I think they all do a fine job. Benicio del Toro, he plays Zaza Korda. He's not bad. I wouldn't necessarily say it's like a great performance or anything like that, but he's not bad in it. Mia Templeton, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but she plays his daughter. I liked her. The scene stealer, though, was surprisingly Michael Cera, and Michael Cera is one of those actors that I'm just not too impressed with. But this movie's kind of an exception. Michael Cera was a bit of a scene stealer as this Norwegian tutor who's, tutoring Zaza's kids. Now, in terms of problems with this movie, like I said, Wes Anderson, he's kind of an acquired taste. While I've been entertained by, some of the stories he's told and the route he has told them, his movies are typically comedies, and you typically just don't find them very funny. And this movie's not an exception at all. This is a comedy, and I just did not find the humor to be very funny. Some of it's just like, oh, well, that's Wes Anderson for you. The best they could do was, give me a couple chuckles. That's about it. And also, again, this is kind of typical of Wes Anderson. His movies are usually slow, but I don't really recall his movies being so slow that, you're just sitting there going, okay, it's been an hour. Oh, wait, it's actually been 25 minutes. His movies usually feel like, they're a bit longer than they are. However, I just never found any of that to be as detrimental as it is in this movie. Like, The French Dispatch was a slow movie, but I never felt like, it was too slow. This movie, I felt like it was too slow. And on top of that, they talk about this big rivalry between Zaza and his brother, whose name I forget. However, at the end of the day, his brother is just a forgettable character, and their rivalry doesn't amount to anything until like the very end of the film. Then again, you also never meet his brother until the very end of the film. What would have helped was there are these, what I call flash sideways towards, these government officials talking about Zaza. And what would have made it better would have been if his brother was entirely plotting everything during these flash sideways instead of, it being government officials. Because you get the wrong idea from that. What Wes Anderson was going for with the dynamic between the two brothers, it gives you the wrong idea, the wrong impression. And I think it would have been a lot better if those flash sideways, so to speak, were of his brother plotting and scheming. So guys, at the end of the day, the Phoenician Scheme, it's not a bad movie, it's okay. I would only really recommend this movie, though, if you're like a diehard Wes Anderson fan. Because if you're not a diehard Wes Anderson fan, yeah, you're not going to enjoy this movie. Me, I had fun with it. However, out of all of the Wes Anderson movies I have seen, I would definitely argue this is my least favorite. But then again, I have not seen all of his movies. I've only seen a few. So, it is what it is. I'm going to give the Phoenician Scheme a 6. Well, that's all the time I have for today. Please look forward to more videos real soon. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Please also subscribe if you're new to the channel. And as always, please remember, the Bretsky will return.